All right. Who are we taking next?
We have a lot of calls on the line today.
We do.
You guys, you came through. I think I want to talk to Joe in Virginia.
Okay, let me grab Joe.
Joe, welcome to the show. How can we help you today?
Hey, V, Eric, how are you guys doing?
Hey.
We are doing okay. What can we help you with?
First, let me just congratulate you on your show. I think you guys are doing a great job. And congratulations to Eric on his debate with Dean.
Don't congratulate me. Don't congratulate me yet.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
What's your question?
I like Dean a lot. I listen to a lot of his stuff on when he calls different shows. So
he's a super sweet guy. He actually,
I guess. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
The last call that Dean called with you about the transracial movement.
Yes. I don't know if I call it a movement so much as there have been people who have said that they are transracial. But yes, continue.
Okay. I don't know. I just found, I found your answer and how you responded to him to be a bit, this is nothing personal, but I just found it kind of to be a little bit hypocritical.
Interesting. Why?
It seems that, I guess, being trans is very important to you, right? And you think people should respect your right to identify yourself as how you please, right?
Yes.
And I would think that somebody who's transracial would deserve the same respect and same just the same respect that you deserve, right?
As a person, absolutely. 100%. I would never, ever be somebody who wanted to restrict or take away the rights of somebody who identified as transracial or anything else. I think that absolutely is 100% where I'm at. But I also am a little bit curious about what you're referencing, because to my recollection, and please correct me in the live chat if I'm misremembering, or Eric, if you heard something different. I don't think I actually said anything against it so much as I said I wasn't the person to talk about it. Right. Okay. I referenced somebody who did do a very good episode on it. T1J, in case you're wondering, the link for that video is in the description of the clip. But did I actually say that they were not worthy of respect or anything in that clip? Am I misremembering?
Exact words, but you said it makes you feel icky, kind of icky.
The thing that makes me feel icky. Nice. And I think that I actually clarified, and if I didn't, I will now. There are things that make me feel icky that are not wrong or bad or immoral in any way. It just means that I haven't interacted with the concept enough to have internalized it and included it in my view of reality. We all have stuff that makes us feel icky, and the only problem is not examining that more and deciding to react to that ick feel as opposed to a rational observation of, oh, why am I feeling this way? What about this is different from what I expected? And why do I feel icked out by it? That said, the thing that I think I was referencing, if I'm remembering correctly, is the fact that if you look at the comments under that video, the ick comes from the realization that people who reject transracial people will use them to attack transgender people. And that was happening already in the clip itself. And so for me,
it got pretty toxic in there.
It got really toxic. I can't look at it. I can't look at those comments because they make me too upset. And for me, the issue is not, should this person be allowed to do what they want with their body? Yeah, sure. Why not? Do you 100%? My concern is that one group is going to be used as a weapon against another group because of a similar word, in this case trans, that doesn't necessarily have a correlation beyond that, right? It's kind of the assumption that race and gender are the same thing is the crux of this here. And I don't know where I stand on that. I really don't. I think on one hand, you could make the case that they are both primarily social constructs. But on the other hand, there are compelling things about, biology and physiology and psychology and all of this that I certainly am not an expert in. So my final word on this, I think, Joe, is that for me, I don't know where I stand on it. My concern, though, is that it is out there enough right now. It's new enough that it will be used as a cudgel against other groups, as opposed to a broadening of the conversation overall. Does that make sense?
Sure, I understand your point of view, but do you understand that maybe someone would have your exact view towards transgender, that maybe they aren't on board with that the same way you're not on board with transracial?
Well, here's the problem with that comparison. I don't care if, forgive the commonality, Joe Schmo down the street believes that I am trans or not, or is personally icked out by it, as long as that person is not voting legislation into law that will make it harder for me to get medical care or get married or, whatever. That's the issue here, right? I can't police what other people think about me and who I am and my identity. That's not my job. I don't really care. But I would never restrict the rights of another or combat them receiving equal rights. And that's the problem with a lot of trans healthcare issues, a lot of trans adoption issues, school issues, bathroom issues. So that's the comparison there.
Okay, I was just thinking that, let's say I identified as a Black American or a Chinese American.
Well,
would you refer me?
Let's talk about that.
Go for it, Eric.
Yeah. Joe,
would you refer to me as my whatever I wanted? Like, if I wanted to be a Black American,
right?
Would you give me the same respect that I give you?
Okay,
for your gender pronoun.
I'd like to jump in here for just a second and maybe offer up a different viewpoint, Joe.
Sure.
I'm half Mexican, and my life viewed through the lens of being someone half Mexican has been dealing with a lot of gatekeeping my entire life. Even as a child, when I hung out with my Mexican friends, I was the white kid, right? And when I hung out with my white friends, I was the Mexican in the group. And that has lasted through my entire life. That has just been a thing, that the community that I've been in has gatekept me out. It doesn't mean that they didn't say, we don't want to be your friend or whatever, but they viewed that otherness as something to say, you know what, we respect that you're in a group, but you're not in our tribe. And so that has led to a lot of really, really weird questions that I've had about myself. What am I? Right? What is my race? I don't have a lot of the same experiences that somebody from Mexico has. So does that mean that I have the right to call myself Mexican? I had a really good talk with a dear friend, Hector Garcia, who said, Eric, you are Latino. And because of that, your experience is a Latino experience. You should not be investigating your experience to find out whether or not it is Latino. But the fact that you are that makes it that experience. Right. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because these are different ways that we're interacting with this concept of race. What is my race? Right. It seems to be something that a community can gatekeep, and yet what are the commonalities between them that, someone can say this is my race? And I think that for me, it has a lot to do with currently, at least in our society today, a shorthand of experiences, right? Me saying that I'm Latino in America, you may have a better understanding of what I've dealt with in the past, right? I've had the shit kicked out of me because I'm a Mexican, or at least Mexican enough to get the shit kicked out of me, right?
Okay, Eric, can I ask a question? Let's say you want to identify as Black American. Should you be able to do that?
Well, what am I doing there, Joe? What am I doing?
Identifying as Black American.
No, yeah, but what's the purpose?
Is it? I'm just saying hypothetical.
Yeah. No, I get it. Here's the thing. I identify as. You don't need to bring. Let's bring it into somewhere where I'm more comfortable. Latino. because
Okay, well,
I identify as Latino.
Let's talk about like me. Let's say I wanted to identify as a Black American.
Mm-hmm. So here's the deal, Joe. There is a problem there that is not what I was talking about, but I can go there specifically. There was somebody who called in who said that their sister thought that she was a Native American princess.
Okay.
Do you find anything wrong with that?
I think you should be able to identify as anything you want.
Okay, Joe. So,
I think,
well, hold on, Joe. No, you
respect he wants for her gender.
You've lost the baby with the bathwater.
And you've also misgendered me. Joe, I'm gonna cut this short, I think, because
I have.
Can we hang up on Joe and then let you finish?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do that. Joe, hold on. Joe, listen to me. I've said multiple times throughout this call and on the last call that I'm not really comfortable talking about this because I don't have the information that I need to convey it properly to somebody else, let alone really internalize and think about myself. I can't have this conversation because I am not the expert right now. I've given you a link to a video in the last episode. I will link it again in this one if you want to learn more about it from somebody who knows a little bit more and has explicitly said that. The second thing is that you are completely ignoring the fact that I said we don't necessarily even know if there's a correlation between race and gender, right? We don't even know. Can we say that because somebody is left-handed, they also have red hair? Maybe there are people who are both. One does not necessitate the other, right? They are two things that a person has, left-handedness and red hair, sure, but we can't treat them as the same thing. So the fact that you are trying to make this a comparison when we have explicitly said that it might not even be a comparison, it seems disingenuous. And honestly, I'm not really here for it. Like I said in the last one, this is not a conversation to have with somebody who has a 4th grade biology understanding of sex and gender and race.
I have problems. I'm happy to talk about them. And one of them is, it's a problem because there aren't any Native American tribes that have princesses. That's a freaking problem, because what you've done is you've appropriated a culture that's not yours, that you obviously don't know about.
Main shot.
Yep. And so you've appropriated a culture that you obviously don't know about. Mm-hmm. And number two, that there's this weird fetishization that can happen with other cultures that it is icky. It is icky to be fetishized. It is icky to, be treated as, hey, you're part of this group, right? And because you're part of this group, I'm making assumptions about your character, right? There are parts of that we as a society need to come to terms with. There are conversations that we need to have with each other about the assumptions that we make about each other. And a lot of those assumptions are tied to race. And when those conversations start happening, that's when I'm going to feel more comfortable speaking about it. But until those conversations happen, or until I stop seeing so much violence based on racism, right? Just very specifically targeted race stuff, then no, I think that, again, we find ourselves in that weird place, right? Does the community have the right to gatekeep people out? Because I'm half and I've been gate-kept out. Mm-hmm. Do you have the right to say that my experience is this because it's in your genes? Where are those things?
Right.
I want to have that conversation.
That is the other side of this that we need to get more into. And this is why I'm super curious about this conversation. I'm going to be doing more research on it. But right now, I don't know what you mean when you say race. Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the cultural stuff? Are you talking about where you were born? Are you talking about your genes specifically? Are you talking about, there are so many different components to it. And in the same way that we have defined gender and sex to a point where we kind of have a working knowledge of what we mean when we say these things now, we need to be able to do that if we're going to have this conversation in any meaningful way that isn't just a haha gotcha, therefore I can identify as an Apache attack helicopter.
Yeah.
This is why I want to have these conversations, but we also have to be careful that we're not giving people ammunition. And I feel kind of bad because the comments on that last video, and probably the comments under this one, I see you guys, are going to be using this as an example of why you can dismiss trans people.
And I think it's an indicator of a privilege that people don't recognize that they have. If the things about you, you're not experiencing dysphoria, right? You grew up, or you feel like you identify with a race or tribe that you are a part of, that you get to be included in, and a million other things, right? If you find yourself in that place, it's really easy to take that for granted. And so when somebody says, that these are problems that they have, what an easy thing to dismiss and go, well, then it's all bullshit and it doesn't really matter. And then I can identify as anything that I want. No, actually, these things are important. You're just lucky enough not to be having these same problems. But that doesn't mean that they're nothing issues that everything gets, lumped into the bin on. We're having these conversations because they're important. But if it's not important to you, great. Don't be an asshole, though, and try and force that view on people who are having issues there. Because it's incredibly myopic and it's not appropriate. If you don't want to be a part of the conversation, don't be a part of the conversation. But if you're joining into the conversation just because you want to be a troll, then don't be surprised when you get treated like a troll and get hung up on.
Yeah. So this is certainly not to stymie this conversation, but as I've expressed before, I do not feel comfortable weighing in with the lack of knowledge and education that I have right now. I'm not going to say things that I can't back up with evidence or with studies or with other people's expertise. So maybe don't call in about this again for a while. We might bring it up again in the future if we've done a lot of research and are super excited about it, but that you're going to get the same, hey, I don't know, can't speak on it. Next.
Yeah, we're just two assholes on the internet. We're trying.
We don't know everything. Fuck that.